Hi guys, it might be a little bit loud because it's the middle of the day and traffic is busy behind my house, but I quickly wanted to show you something called an ice cream bean plant, or tree, I guess, because it's a tree. Really quickly, because I was curious about it too, as far as how it grows, and there's not a lot of videos on that. There's videos on the tree already being larger. Oh, those white butterflies, really a moth. It's gonna leave an egg, and anyway, they like to eat all my kale. Oh, this looks so sad. Anyway, last year, at the, like around the same time, this was all tomatoes and looking great, and they just got really eaten up by like spider mites, and I just didn't control it because I was doing other things, and it was just a disaster. But if you can see, my kale is still there. Kale is amazing. If your kale starts looking bad, just cut it off. Cut it off at the whole top of it. You can leave a little stick like this just sticking out of the ground, the little stem, and it'll just start growing back in this kind of fashion. Like it makes a bigger, I guess, more spread out amount. I don't know. That's my lavender that's been there for like almost 2 years, and it just grows and grows. It's kind of weird lavender. It smells almost like a skunk. I'm like, this is not lavender. It smells weird. But anyway, I think I picked it up at Costco a couple years ago. But anyhow, and these are some little peppers that just kind of overwintered, and they're still here this year, and they're okay. Again, I just pulled all the tomatoes out, threw them out. But the point of this video is the ice cream beans. So I want to talk about that in just a second. These are some little peaches and plums and nectarines. Obviously, they're at the end of their season. I got a canepa or guinep or tree, but I don't know if that's going to work out. I got this at the Vista Exotica in Vista because I was like, oh yeah, we're Puerto Rican. My dad used to bring them to me whenever he would go visit Puerto Rico and bring back canepas to eat. And I might need a male and a female tree, so this may not work out, but I do have it there. And oh well. What's this stuff called? Passion fruit. And I wish I would have done this video yesterday or a day before or whenever, because the flowers were open, the blooms. So now I fertilized these because for some reason these all fell off the first time they did their thing. So I have a feeling I had to make sure they were pollinated. And so like this one's a newer one. It closed up. They're only good for one day, the flowers. So these guys, like this other one is called Jeannie Garrison. She comes out of this pot, and she's going up this way, and they're always smaller and they're so good. And then the one that I have in this pot growing up this way is the Red Rover Giant something variety. That's this one, and it kept falling off, so I was I'm pretty sure they need to be pollinated. The other one I didn't have to mess with, they just do their thing. And this little guy I have in this little pot is a cutting, and she is super long. She didn't do anything for like 5 or 6 months, so she was still green. Just let her go, and now she's growing. And this is Frederick. I guess it's Frederick variety. So I'm gonna get that in the ground though, because I have these guys in pots, and that's nice and all. But I also had a video on making this arbor, and I never put it out. So maybe I'll include that footage at the end of this video, just because. But ice cream bean. This has been here for 1 year now, and this little pot. I have another one, so I'm gonna show you. I went to Exotica. I bought this little sleeve, and they were $10. I guess they used to charge 5, but for whatever reason they charged me 10. So I paid $10, and it had 2 beans in there, 2 of the bean pods, right? So basically these things put out seeds and seeds because of the way it's made as an ice cream bean. It's like this little pod. It's a member of the pea family, like that kind of thing. And so that's why it looks like a vine at the beginning, but it'll make a tree. And in that pot there was 2 of them, because they always put like 2 or 3 seeds just to make sure they germinate. And each seed was putting out 2 little stems, and they were only like this tall. I'm not even kidding. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. So whenever you plant those ice cream beans, it's hard to get. You have to have fresh beans, and unless somebody has a pod, you're not going to get them. So it's really hard to do that. But maybe you'll find a little tree that somebody might sell. I don't know. So as the time went on, I separated the 2 seeds. I took one out, put it in its own pot, put another one in its own pot. Basically these 5-gallon pots. And then one was, and each one, like I said, each seed had 2 little twigs coming out of it. So both of those twigs, on both of the, after I separated them out, they each had 2. And I was watching them, and one would be stronger than the other, so I ripped out the other one that was a little bit weaker. So this is one of those that was left, that I left behind. And I have another one. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. They were planted. I bought them and everything at the same exact time. This one does have less dirt in the pot, so I need to repot it. But she's doing okay. So it's an interesting little plant. It's gonna make a tree, a pretty good sized tree. But for now, this one, she's hanging in there. She, Nice little tree. And some people just grow this for the leaves because they put out a lot of nitrogen. On top of that, they're a nitrogen fixer, so they take in the nitrogen, put it in their roots, and put it in the dirt, and then any tree or plant that's around that is going to do really well. But it's really cute. I mean, look how the new little leaves come out. It's a pretty guy. This is exactly the same age as this guy that I just put in the ground 2 weeks ago. He was in his pot. It's the same tree from the same pot. I don't know. You know, make it make sense. This guy is huge. So he's probably about 6 feet tall. Again, still very skinny. We can look at the base here. It's getting thicker. I mean, where the other one's like a little vine still, this is, oh, that one just came off, and that's fine. So even at the nursery, they'll take the leaves from this and they put it in pots, you know, like at the bottom of your pot to help with the nitrogen and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's definitely getting thicker. But what I'm waiting for is for this thing to make branches. And then if you come and look, I was just kind of looking at it. I'm like, when is it gonna start making branches? If you really look up close, some of these, I don't know if you can see how thick that is. There's like a thickness at the base of this. Oh, he wants to focus on my palm back there. It's a little bit thick, right, at the base of that leaf set. Okay, but these that are older, look at this. It's not thick at all, right? It's just like a leaf coming out of. And then this one's a little bit thick. So I'm wondering if those thicknesses are where the branches might start coming out. I don't know. We will see. It's still new. Yeah, like I said, he's only a year old, and I only put him in the ground about 3 weeks ago. But since I put him in the ground, not joking, he was here. It grew all this right here in just these last 3 weeks. And then the last week, he kind of slowed down, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe he's going to start focusing on, you know, doing something else. But then it shot up this little last piece right here, just in like the last couple days. So very interesting little plant. Supposedly they start giving fruit at about 3 to 5 years. So we'll see what happens. It's going to get really big. Like, see how thick that is again compared to some of the other ones. So I think it's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens. I just wanted to show you what a young ice cream bean looks like because I'm sure people are curious. This is a Longan I also picked up this year. Little guy. Not inexpensive. As you see, it said $75, but he gave it to me for 60. But we will see what happens. Again, it will make a big tree. I don't know where I'm going to put this guy. And then I have my guavas here. My mom says guava is not a word because guavas are guavas, right? Guava is, like, in Spanish we don't say guava. It's guava. But anyway, they are here and doing really well. So cute. Look at that. And this one was putting out tons of them when they were, I barely got these in ground too, like a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago. This one, when it was in a pot, was putting out tons, and they would fall off, and they would fall off, and they would fall off. And I'm sure it's because it was in a pot. It wasn't doing all that great yet. And it was just a nursery pot. So now that I've got it in ground, she's growing more. She hasn't put out any guavas, where this one has guavas like at every terminal. There's always 2. If you can see, there's 2, 2, 2. There's always 2. All right, well, there's lots of other things to look at here, but I really just wanted to talk about the ice cream bean. And yeah, this fence needs to be redone, and will be redone soon because we already talked about the neighbors, with the neighbors about that. It might be too close to my fence. We will see. I don't know. I'm going to try to manage it. As you see, my neighbor has trees that are really big too. So if this guy gets to be 60 feet, who cares? That's how I see it. I don't know. My husband cares, but I don't. We'll see what happens when this guy grows. So yeah, I'm really curious to, you know, hopefully next year I'll have an update, and maybe it'll even be fruiting, because that'll be the 3rd season that I have it, 2nd year in ground. You know what I'm saying? Kind of going into that 2nd year. So yeah, very interesting though that guy stays like that, and this one looks like this. But I'm gonna repot him, get him in a bigger pot, get him a little more soil, and see if that helps out. But you know, I'll probably just keep both trees going. Maybe my dad will visit someday, hopefully, whenever all this whole mess is over. And he would love to have that, I'm sure. So he lives in the Central Valley. I think it'll be okay. I saw a guy growing one in San Francisco, and it gets much colder there than other places that, you know, in California. I am in Southern California. I forgot to mention that. San Marcos is part of San Diego. So I think this is 10A zone. And then the thing is, I used to have a palm tree. Let me just keep talking. I had a huge palm tree here, a Mexican palm that went way past that tree, sorry. And then I still have palm trees. These are king or queen palm, I don't know. They're just a basic easier to manage palm tree. And then I had another Mexican palm at the very end of the property over there too. So huge. I mean, it was towering way over. So there were gorgeous, beautiful trees, but my husband and I are like, really? And then they dropped so much stuff. And so in that place where that huge palm tree, because it took this whole trunk, you know, in there, I can put all these other things in. So I'd rather have those things, even though they were gorgeous trees. Also, I had to pay somebody to come take care of them because they were ridiculously tall. Anyway, all right, guys, I hope you're all doing well. Just a real quick shot of maybe my figs that are finishing up for the season, which I'm not even sure if that's the case because everything's kind of mishmash and thrown around because, again, we've been doing stuff since those palms got removed. They're starting to flesh out a new growth again for some reason. So some of them dropped their leaves and then started doing it again, which is kind of odd. So maybe something was missing in their diet. This is greenish Isha. She still has some on there. This guy is done, but he started putting out again a new flush of growth, which is great because, you know, why not? I don't mind that. Like this right here is a Cadota. She dropped all her leaves, was done, and now, I don't know if you can see, there's lots of, oh, no, maybe there. New growth and even putting out new figs. So we'll see if those little figlets make it, but yeah, always fun. Oh, and then my dragon fruit I was working on last weekend. This is the kind of thing I love to do, guys. So this guy I brought from a baby. He was a little twig, and look how big he is now. He gave us 3 or 4 figs this year. This one, I don't remember the variety name. Again, I lose the placards, but she's putting out her little figs. We still have another at least month or 2 of heat in SoCal, so I'm hoping things happen. But dragon fruits. I'm trying to root some over there because I'm a crazy person. More figs that I grew from babies. And, you know, some tomatoes that didn't... See, these tomatoes were just fine compared to the ones over there. They just got destroyed, and they were so gross looking. And my husband's like, just get rid of them. Oh, look, a little lizard. We have tons of lizards. I don't know if you can see right there. He just crawled over. All the time. We love it. And even at Green Thumb Nursery, they talk about what you can do to encourage lizards being at your place. And I don't have to do anything. They love it here. There's at least 4 or 5 different types of lizard, like some big old Godzilla looking ones. They're like black and really big, and some that are kind of cute and blue and yellow, or like green ones, little tiny. Well, that one's obviously a baby, but ones that aren't as ugly as the Godzilla ones. And this is a piece of sugar cane. I forgot. I just want to mention one more tropical thing, I guess. My dad gave me that, actually. We went to visit. This was like in November, whenever the last time we went to Central Valley before everything went to pot. He had given me some caña, some sugar cane, and we were eating it, and I was like, can you plant this? He's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay. So I brought home 2 sticks of it. One of them I just left out there. The kids were eating it, and the other one I stuck in a pot. And literally last weekend, 4 days ago, dug this out because we had a huge palm in this area, and now I have these 2 citrus, Oro Blanco grapefruit, and sweet lime, which is another amazing, I love it, fruit. I don't know if you can see there. They're gonna get big, and they're kind of like lemons, but kind of like an orange, kind of just like a citrus that's not sour but not super, I don't know, they're just really good. Anyway, I put this in the ground to see what happens. I would love for it to just fill this in and just manage it, and I think it'd be really fun, so we'll see. She was doing great. She was in a pot, not even like a 2-gallon pot, like just a little thing with a little dirt, and it put out all this growth. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, I hope you're doing well, and just a couple other citrus here, citrus back there. There's just a lot going on. Pomegranates in the front, more citrus in the front. My husband thinks I'm insane because I'm like, we can put something else here. And now, you know, in the next few years, if we get rid of these palm trees, there's going to be a fruit tree at each spot. There used to be also be, I know I'm just going off here. There used to also be those things, what is it called? Bougainvillea, right in here. Thing never dies. When my husband just cut it down again, they got rid of the tree, cut down the bougainvillea, and in that back corner too, that first corner that we talked about. So I had to keep managing that because that was not rooted out, and they are like aggressive. So my husband actually wants to get rid of that one. I'm like, it's so pretty. Let's just see. You can have prettiness. It doesn't all have to be edible, right? Some things can just be pretty. So we'll see what happens. But just a little taste of my backyard with a nice patio that also has a wheelbarrow and a utility sink and things that we added in. So it's kind of a fun backyard. But anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you all at the next one. Bye now.